Welcome to the video replay for Double Up Trivia for November 1st, 2020. While this trivia just contains the questions and answers, the actual live trivia event contains competition among teams and live scoring. That event can be joined for free every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, at twitch.tv/yearofglad. So in this video, just going to do a question and then followed immediately by the answer to the question, and the next question, and then the answer, and so on. In the actual trivia event, teams would see multiple questions before submitting their answers. So here is round one for November 1st, 2020. A facility northwest of Amarillo, Texas, holds the U.S.'s strategic reserve of what gas, primarily used in cryogenics, that is created by the slow radioactive decay of thorium and uranium and is typically extracted by distilling natural gas. And if you need more time for the answer, go ahead and hit pause on the video. The answer for this question, that gas, is helium. And due to the long half-life of thorium and uranium, the world's helium supply is slowly dwindling. Round one, question number 2. What specific occupation is being shown in the Albert de Meister painting shown here? An occupation similar to a blacksmith, but also requiring veterinary skills. And that specific occupation, dealing with the shoeing of horses and hoof care, is a farrier. Round one, question number 3. Jerry Jeff Walker, who died on October 23rd, 2020, is most famous for writing what song, famously covered by Sammy Davis Jr. and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, among others, with a title that is the name given by a homeless man whom Walker met while in jail for public intoxication. And the recently passed Jerry Jeff Walker is most famous probably for writing Mr. Bojangles. Round one, question number 4. What company, founded in 1888 by Cecil Rhodes and now partially owned by the government of Botswana, gets its name from the surname of 2 Dutch farmers, whose farm became the site of an open-pit mine known as the Big Hole? That company, a diamond company, is De Beers. And the De Beer brothers were forced to sell their farm to the British government in 1871. Round one, question number 5. What last name of the longtime mayor of Springfield in The Simpsons is the same as that of a fictional family that lived in Matt Groening's hometown? That last name is Quimby. Mayor Quimby shares his last name with Ramona and Beezus Quimby, characters from children's books by Beverly Cleary, and at the time of this video, Beverly Cleary is still alive at the age of 104. Round one, question number 6. As part of the resolution to end the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Soviet Union dismantled its weapons in Cuba, while the U.S. removed its nuclear missiles from Italy and what other country? And that other country was Turkey. That removal of missiles was done secretly, and there is actually still some debate as to whether missile removal from Italy was also a specific part of the agreement between Kennedy and Khrushchev. Round one, question number 7. What species of animal with the scientific name Myrmecophaga tridactyla regularly engages in myrmecophagy? That species of animal, myrmecophagy, is the eating of ants, and so that is, of course, the anteater. Round one, question number 8. The name of chemical element number 33 on the periodic table is an anagram of the name of what mathematical function? And chemical element 33 is arsenic. Arsenic is an anagram of arcsine. It finishes round 1 and brings us to the speed round. This week, the speed round is order up, where teams are given a list of 6 things, and they have to put those 6 things in a specific order, whether it's alphabetical order, order by size, or so on. And teams have 3 minutes to do it in the actual live trivia event. This week's order up, put the musical acts in order based on their most typical number of members from fewest to most. And the musical acts were the Black Keys, Broken Social Scene, The Doors, Haim, Iron and Wine, and The Temptations. So again, teams had 3 minutes, but let's go ahead and take a look at the answers for the order up round in order from fewest to most. Iron and Wine has 1 member, the Black Keys 2, Haim 3, the Doors 4, the Temptations 5, and Broken Social Scene anywhere from 6 to 19 members, but definitely more than the Temptations. So there's the correct order for this week's order up round. Teams got points based on how close their list was to the actual correct list. After the speed round, we go to round 2, which works exactly the same as round 1. Round 2, question number 1. The name of what company, which merged with the Dr. Pepper Snapple Group in 2018, has a name that means excellence in Dutch? That company, which prior to merging with Dr. Pepper Snapple merged with Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, is Keurig. Round 2, question number 2. Dr. Frank Barney Gorton Stableford developed a seldom-used scoring system for what sport with an aim of deterring participants from quitting partway through? And Stableford, the Stableford system, is an alternate scoring system in the sport of golf, which players get points based on their score for each hole, but the worst possible score for a hole is limited to a double bogey, so players are not penalized for any strokes taken beyond that. Round 2, question number 3. In April 1999, what person was temporarily entombed in a plastic box set under a 3-ton water-filled tank for a week? A feat which Marie Blood said, quote, "My uncle did some amazing things, but he could not have done this." And Marie Blood was Harry Houdini's niece. The person in question was magician David Blaine. Round 2, question number 4. A 1920 edition of Alfred Wegener's The Origin of Continents has the first instance of what name a landmass surrounded by an ocean called Panthalassa? And that book is the first instance of Pangaea, which is the most recent supercontinent to have existed. Previously, there were, among others, Gondwana, and Valbara, which existed around 3.6 billion years ago. Round 2, question number 5. The light left on in a theater while unoccupied and otherwise dark, also used during COVID-19 to indicate that a theater plans to reopen eventually, is sometimes known as an equity light, but is more often known as a blank light. What 5-letter word belongs in the blank? And that type of light in a theater is most often known as a ghost light, and has a practical purpose, of course, of avoiding injury, but there are numerous superstitions about their supernatural origins and purpose. Round 2, question number 6. What ancient text, a partial copy of which exists on a 7.4-foot tall stone slab, deals with topics such as the wages to be paid to an ox driver, the liability of a builder for damage to a house, and proper inheritance and divorce proceedings? And that text, which deals with all sorts of legal issues, is the Code of Hammurabi, which dates back to about 1754 BC, and the original is currently on display in the Louvre. Round 2, question number 7. What author has written a series of 5 detective novels, the first of which is The Cuckoo's Calling, under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith, whom her publisher described as, quote, a former Royal Military Police investigator? And that British female author is J.K. Rowling. And the real identity of Galbraith as J.K. Rowling was revealed by an acquaintance of Rowling's legal representatives. Round 2, question number 8. What adjective from the name of a 16th century Italian is part of the name of an anatomical structure in the human body which helps equalize air pressure? And teams for a bonus 3 points could answer this question. That same adjective could describe a type of verbal abuse experienced by players under what basketball coach, formerly of Colorado State? And for the bonus question, I did require a first and last name. And the anatomical structure in question is the Eustachian tube, so the adjective is Eustachian. And Larry Eustachi was the coach forced to resign due to his verbal abuse of players at Colorado State abuse which could also be described as eustachian. And that finishes round 2 and brings us to the final round, round 3. In round 3, teams get usually 8 clues. They have to give answers to 5 of those clues, and their answers are scored based on how common or rare they are relative to the responses given by the other teams. In this week's round 3, the 8 answers to the clues on the following page each begin with a different letter of the Greek alphabet. What are 5 of the 8 answers? And so by beginning with a different letter of the Greek alphabet, an example would be if one of the answers were pigeon, which begins with P-I, which is of course the letter pi. Here are the 8 clues for this week's final round. And let's go ahead and take a look at the answers. Again, pause the video if you'd like a little more time to think about the questions and answers. The process within the body that gets its name from the Greek for straight sword is the xiphoid process. The last name of the Best Supporting Actress winner for Chicago is Catherine Zeta-Jones. The TV spin-off, which the main character moves from Minneapolis back to New York, is Rhoda. The Disney animated series about a boy and his stepbrother is Phineas and Ferb. The naturally occurring chemical that gives magic mushrooms their magic is psilocybin. The dish developed by a Swiss physician, the recipe containing apples, nuts, oats, lemon juice, and cream, is muesli. The city intended to be the location of the execution of Hermann Göring prior to his suicide. That city was part of the Judgment of Nuremberg, and the common name for Salvia hispanica, used as hair for likenesses of both Barack Obama and Bob Ross. Barack Obama and Bob Ross were both 2 versions of the common chia pet, and that plant is chia. So those are the 8 answers for this week's final round. Brings us to the end of this video replay for Double Up Trivia. Again, if you want to join the actual live trivia event, it is every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/yearofglad, YEAROFGLAD. There's a link in the comments. It's free to play. It takes about an hour to play the actual live trivia. I hope to see you there. Have a good week.